The moment my son said, "We need a bigger house for the baby," I knew exactly what was coming next. It wasn't the words that gave it away. It was the pause. That small, careful silence stretched just a little too long, like he was waiting for me to step in, to rescue, to offer something before he even had to ask, an unspoken expectation hanging in the air between us. And when I looked him straight in the eye and said, "And why is that my problem?" the room didn't just go quiet, it shifted, like something invisible had cracked open right down the middle. Because in that single moment my family realized something they had never once considered, that I was no longer willing to play the role they had quietly assigned to me for years. My name is Brian, I'm 70, 4 years old, a widower, a grandfather, and until recently I was the man everyone depended on, the one who fixed things, funded things, smoothed things over, the silent pillar holding up a structure no one else wanted to carry, financially, emotionally, conveniently, always conveniently. It started on a Sunday afternoon, when they came over like they always did, my son Daniel, his wife Melissa, and their 3-year-old daughter Sophie, the only one in that room whose presence felt honest and uncalculated. And now, apparently, another baby was on the way, though Melissa made sure the announcement felt less like a joyful surprise, and more like the opening argument in a case she had already decided I would fund. "Oh, it's been so hard," she sighed, placing a hand on her stomach with theatrical precision. "The house just feels cramped." "Cramped," I repeated silently, remembering the last time I had visited their place. 3 bedrooms, a backyard, a garage, space enough for laughter and life if they had chosen to live within it. But suddenly it wasn't enough, not because of necessity, but because of desire, and desire, I had come to learn, was far more expensive. Daniel cleared his throat, shifting in his seat like a man rehearsing lines he wasn't comfortable delivering. "Dad, we've been thinking. With the new baby coming, we really need more space." I nodded, calm, steady. "Congratulations," I said, and that alone seemed to throw him off balance, as if the script had gone wrong, because gratitude without immediate financial follow-up wasn't part of the plan. "Yeah, thanks," he continued, stumbling slightly. "But, the thing is, we're looking at a new place. Something bigger." "Good," I replied simply, and there it was again, that pause, heavier now, Melissa leaning forward, her smile tightening at the edges. "Well, houses are expensive right now." Finally, the truth surfaced, not directly, not honestly, but wrapped in suggestion, waiting for me to connect the dots and offer what they wanted without forcing them to say it outright. I leaned back in my chair, folding my hands over my stomach, the same way I used to when thinking through business decisions years ago. "They always have been," I said, watching Daniel force a small laugh. "Yeah. But we thought maybe you could help." And of course they did, because I always had: school fees when he couldn't manage, car repairs when things broke down, their wedding when costs spiraled beyond their reach, even the down payment for their current house. Every time life demanded effort or sacrifice, they had turned to me, and I had given, not because I was weak, but because I believed that was what a father was meant to do, to provide, to protect, to support. But somewhere along the line support had turned into expectation, and expectation had quietly hardened into entitlement. And now here he was, my son, the boy I once carried on my shoulders, whose scraped knees I had cleaned, whose fears I had calmed in the middle of the night, standing in front of me, not as someone seeking guidance, but as someone waiting for a transaction. So I asked the question that had been building in me for years: "And why is that my problem?" And the impact of those words landed harder than any raised voice ever could. Melissa blinked like she hadn't processed what she'd heard. Daniel stared at me as if I had suddenly become someone else. "What?" he asked, genuinely confused. "You need a bigger house," I repeated calmly. "So buy one." "We can't afford it without help, Dad," he said, and there it was, laid bare. "That sounds like your situation," I replied. "Not mine." Melissa's face hardened immediately, her tone sharpening. "Well, it's not just about us, it's about your grandchild." The guilt card played exactly when expected, almost predictable in its timing. I felt a faint smile tug at the corner of my mouth. Not from amusement, but from recognition. "My grandchild already has a home," I said. "A perfectly good one." "It's not enough," she snapped. "No," I corrected gently. "It's not what you want." Daniel ran a hand through his hair, frustration beginning to replace confusion. "Dad, come on, you've always helped us. Why are you acting like this now?" And that question lingered longer than any accusation. Why now? I looked around the room, at the house I had paid off decades ago, at the photographs lining the walls, my late wife smiling in a way that still made the room feel less empty, Daniel at graduation, family trips I had paid for, memories that existed because I had made them possible, and suddenly I felt it again, that quiet, deep exhaustion. Not anger, not heartbreak, just a bone, deep tiredness that came from giving too much for too long without ever being asked if I wanted to continue. Because I'm done, I said quietly, and the silence that followed wasn't just heavy, it was unfamiliar, like no one in that room had ever imagined hearing those words from me. Melissa let out a sharp, disbelieving laugh. Oh, that's great, really, now you're done. When your family needs you. I met her gaze without flinching, my family, calm and unmoved. What exactly have you done for me? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. The answer nowhere to be found. Daniel stepped in, grasping for something. We visit you, he said, once a week. I nodded. Usually when you need something. That's not true, he insisted, but even he sounded unsure. Isn't it? I asked. Tell me the last time you came here just to sit with me. No requests, no problems, no expectations. He didn't answer, because he couldn't, because the truth had a way of silencing people when nothing else could. Sophie sat on the floor nearby, playing quietly, blissfully unaware of the tension wrapping itself around the room. I looked at her, then back at them. I love you. I said, both of you, and I love my granddaughter. That's not changing. Then prove it. Melissa said immediately, and there it was again, love reduced to proof, to payment, to something measurable in money and favors. I shook my head slowly. No, I said, that's exactly what I'm not going to do anymore. Daniel's voice dropped, quieter now but heavier. So that's it, you're just cutting us off. I'm not cutting you off, I reply, I'm stepping back. That's the same thing. No, I said firmly. Cutting you off would mean I don't care. Stepping back means I trust you to handle your own lives. Melissa scoffed, her frustration spilling over. Or maybe it means you just don't want to spend your money. I allowed myself a small, tired smile, finally, an honest sentence. Her face flushed with anger. That's disgusting. No, I said evenly. What's disgusting is turning a father into a wallet. The room fell completely silent. Daniel looked at me differently now, not like a son looking at his father, but like a man confronting a truth he hadn't expected. Something had changed, something permanent. He said quietly, yes, I replied, I have. He stared at me for a long moment, then stood, the decision settling into him. Come on, Melissa, he said, and they gathered their things quickly, no hugs, no warmth, just tension and unspoken resentment trailing behind them. Sophie waved as they left, her innocence untouched. Bye, Grandpa. Bye, sweetheart, I said softly, the door closing behind them with a finality that echoed through the house, and just like that the silence returned. But this time it wasn't heavy, it wasn't suffocating, it was different, lighter, almost peaceful. As if something that had been weighing on me for years had finally lifted. A week passed. Then 2, then 3, no calls, no messages, nothing. And for the first time in a very long time I didn't feel anxious about it. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free, truly free. And then one evening my phone rang. Daniel's name on the screen. I let it ring once, twice, not out of spite but out of choice, before answering. Hello. His voice was different, stripped of its usual confidence. Hey, Dad. Hello, son. A pause followed, but this one felt different, not calculated, not expectant, just honest. I've been thinking, he said. That's a good start. I replied. He exhaled softly. We might have pushed too far. I didn't rush to respond, letting him sit in that realization. We found a smaller place, he continued. Not what we wanted, but it works. I'm glad. I said, and I meant it. Another pause. Then, and I'm sorry. The words came out quieter, but heavier than anything else he had said. For what? I asked gently. For treating you like you owed us something. I leaned back, looking up at the ceiling, letting the weight of that apology settle in. You're my son, I said. I'll always help you when you truly need it, but I won't live your life for you. I understand, he said, and for the first time in years, I believed him, truly believed him. Bring Sophie over this weekend. I added, I miss her. A small, relieved chuckle came through the line. Yeah, we will. The call ended, and I sat there alone in my house, but not alone in the way Melissa had once implied, not empty, not abandoned, just finally respected. And in that quiet, I realized something simple but powerful. Something I should have understood years ago, that sometimes the most important thing a man can say to his own family isn't, yes. It's no. And having the strength to mean it.